Good evening. Hello, hello. Welcome to your wellness check-in. Let's do this, y'all. Welcome to your wellness check-in. So tonight, I have a really good topic. Just wanted to hop on really quick and share more about how to tell if you are an emotional eater. So as busy nurses, as those of us that are so giving, that show up for everyone else, and we're doing all the things for everyone else, and giving so much of our time, our energy, it can be easy to put our health needs on the back burner. It can be easy to just even forget or neglect our own health and wellness needs. And so this wellness check-in is here to remind you to open up the space so that you can have the resources, have the support. You are not in this thing alone. And there's a reason why I'm so passionate about health and wellness for nurses, for caregivers, because I've been that burnt out nurse. For those of you that may be hopping on, joining for the first time, my name is Fallon Lopez. I'm a registered nurse, certified health and wellness coach, and CEO of Are You Well. I help new nurses create self-care strategies so that they can adapt and survive busy nurse life while building confidence, energy, and motivation to do what they are so good at, which is serving others. But, just like any profession that is so people focus, others focus. There can be some times where we forget or we neglect our own health. So I wanted to create this space for us to talk about things that are important. And I focus on food, fitness, and faith as my pillars of health and wellness so that we can show up to be our very best. And the reason why tonight I'm talking about emotional eating, because come on, y'all. Coming out of the year 2020, emotions have been high emotions, stress, up and down, not knowing what's going to happen next. Coming out of that type of year into this year, we're trying to adapt, we're changing, and you may have picked up some habits just like I did during 2020. Stress, overeating, emotional eating, really taking that time to understand myself and to learn and to grow. But there was some habits that happened. Come on, we were all stressed. And even in nurse life, like we can get stressed at work, not even eat while we're at work. How many of y'all are the type that you don't even have time to eat when you're stressed, or you don't even feel the need? But then when you do turn around and go eat, like you are like starving and you're going after everything and choosing all of the wrong foods when you do finally sit down and eat. So some of us, when we're stressed, we go all in. We're just binging on food, trying to fill empty spaces and deal with stress in that way. And some of us, when we get stressed, we don't eat at all. But then when we finally do eat, you are like starving, going after everything that you shouldn't, and even making bad choices for your nutrition. And it's no judgment. It's nothing about judgment or me just calling you out or shaming you, nothing like that. This is a space where we can like be honest. Okay, stress happens. People deal in different ways. We all have ways that we deal with our emotions. And I think it's important for us to, just open up this platform and talk about it. Like, what does it mean to be an emotional eater? And I want to share with you tonight, like, what are some ways that you may notice or may find out, like, oh, I may be struggling with that. And how can you shift and become more of a empowered person with your health and wellness goals, with your eating habits? Because we want to be fueled up out here. We're not trying to just run on fumes anymore. And that's what you potentially are doing when you choose to, pick up foods that are empty, no nutritious value. You are running on fumes. And so I've been there, y'all. I have picked up the habits of emotional eating even before nursing school, even before I got into nursing and I was stressed out and dealing with nurse life. But that's how I continued to deal. I would deal with the stress from nurse, the stress from my personal life. And that's how I dealt with my stress and my emotions. It was so easy for me to help everyone else. But when it came to my own health, I didn't believe it was a priority. Has anybody been there? Do you know what I mean? Like, we get so caught up in helping and fixing and saving others as nurses. We're the nurse, we have it all together. You know, it can be hard to like believe that our own health and wellness goals are a priority. Call it pride. That's what I dealt with, or just ignorance, not really seeing the connection between what I was choosing to put on my plate and how it was affecting my mental state. Literally, y'all. I was like, no focus. I wasn't making good choices. I was choosing, the chips, and very much a chips eater, y'all. That was my thing. Love chips. That was my go to. And when I was stressed, I would, show up at my favorite fast food place, oh, I deserve this. I had a long shift. I deserve this. Let me treat myself. And I go more into detail on how I changed my habits on the podcast. So this is just my kind of like my inspiration from the podcast. So I went full on in. Tonight I'm just sharing a few ways that you can know if you or find out if you are a emotional eater. But on the podcast, I go in on how you can, create healthier habits. So definitely want to check that out. So I share more on detail in the podcast, how to glow up through the emotional eating in nurse life. So go ahead and go take a listen. Let me share that with you right now so that you can take a listen. The You Glow Nurse podcast. So, tonight I'll share a few signs that you can identify if you too may be using food to comfort you. So, stress is a part of life, right? We know that. Occasional snacking on foods, I get it. No judgment here. It happens. But when does it cross the line into becoming something that we always cope? That is how we run to. That is what we run to when we're stressed. Emotional eating is technically like it's eating in response to strong emotional feelings. Some strong emotional feelings that you may have: stress, worry, doubt, anxiety, depression. If you're having these strong feelings, instead of like dealing with them or processing them, you may choose to go eat something like that chocolate ice cream, or like, go out and splurge. And here are some ways that you will find out and see that maybe you're actually emotional eating and not just snacking, because there's a difference and it may be slight, but let's see. So emotional eating has become widespread because of accessibility. There's more snacks around. The companies, they know what to give us. They know, okay, like people love to snack. So people are popping up with snacks and all kind of new things, and it's everywhere. The accessibility is everywhere for snack foods and foods uh that we could just grab, and that are not necessarily good for us. And then there are highly palatable foods that have been created. So here's a way to know if you deal with emotional eating. It comes on strong. The emotion, the craving comes on really strong. Like you could just be doing your normal thing, experiencing whatever, like a feeling comes on, and then suddenly you see, you just have this craving. It's not even like you're hungry. It's just like, oh, I have to eat some gummies. I have to get cookies. Like I have to eat Chipotle. Like, something that you're just like craving, like it's like suddenly out of nowhere. And then the food that you're craving is the only thing you want. You don't want anything else. Like it's constantly in your mind, and you're like, okay, am I emotional about this day, about the situation? Oh, but let me think about what's going to make me feel happy, what's going to make me feel good and secure, right? So you think about the food, and that's the only thing that's going to satisfy you. So you can't even, like, even if you got some other food, like even if somebody gave you another option, let's go here, let's go there. No, like I want that chocolate ice cream. That's the only thing that I want. I want that smoothie, like not necessarily a smoothie. What do I get? That's like such a comfort food to me. Tea. Like the boba tea, like I'll go all out on some boba tea, and like that's the only thing that will comfort me sometimes. And I'll have it occasionally for days that like I just want to treat myself, or just have a fun outing with my family and friends. But when it crosses the line is when Like, that's the way that I'm coping. That's what I'm using always to cope. And I've had to cut back because I was going like every day at one point, and I was like, wait a second, this is probably not good for my health. I don't know how much sugar they put in there. And one thing that I did change is just the amount of sugar, because you could change the amount of sugar that you put in your boba tea. You can get the less amount. And anyways, that's just one of my comfort foods. Like, so I would crave that. Or this is one way to know that you're an emotional eater, is if the craving that you're having is only satisfied by a certain food, and then you have feelings of shame or guilt after you partake in certain foods, and then the cycle begins again. More uncomfortable feelings, more sad and distressing feelings, so you begin to deal with food, and you just have guilt and shame, and then you start, and it's just a cycle. You just continue to play this cycle over and over, not dealing with the real emotions inside. And, here's what you can do if you are going through that process. I don't want to leave you, without anything, some tips, some ways that can help you through this pattern, because you're not alone. I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel emotional, to have those strong feelings and not really know how to process them. But, okay, I know that this food is going to make me feel good right now. It's going to make me feel safe. And like I said, I go more into detail on the podcast, on the You Glow Nurse podcast, on the episode, How to Glow Up Through Emotional Eating. It's up now on all streaming platforms. So go ahead, go take a listen. It's up now. And I think you will really enjoy that. If you're somebody that's, going through a lot of stress and you find yourself coping or dealing with the stress by grabbing food. And like I said, there are a few ways that you would know. There are a few signs that would tell you that maybe your emotional eating is feeling shame and guilt, having strong cravings out of nowhere, and that nothing else would satisfy you. But here's what you can do. You can stop and slow down. When those cravings come on, stop. Slow down what you're doing. Work through the feelings rather than hiding away. Ask yourself the tough questions, doing the self-reflection. I know it's not easy, and it can feel like overwhelming, and it could feel like way too much to just process. But I'm not telling you to just process everything. Slow down, stop, ask yourself, why? What is going on right now? How am I really feeling? And why do I feel like I can't handle this emotion? That is a normal part of life, because our stress, it's going to happen. We all experience stress. Stress is something that tells us, hey, something is coming, something is happening, something you need to, protect yourself from, So stress is a part of life, and we should deal with it, in a healthy way, or find ways to deal with it in a healthy way. And you don't have to feel like you're alone. You can ask for help, turn into turn to somebody that, is a trusted friend, someone that is not going to judge you, and someone who is going to support you in making better choices and not be an enabler. And that's another thing we definitely can talk about at a later time on the podcast. Just an idea already. So, like I said, tonight's check-in was just like a little mini like intro on like what to expect, and how to really tell if you're an emotional eater and what you can do. Like I said, we're nurses, we're busy, we're constantly on high alert. We deal with a lot of stress. It comes with the job. And some of us may find ourselves dealing with stress and emotions in a more negative way, ways that are not adding to our life. So ask yourself the question, is this pattern, is this habit really truly helping me? Is it adding to my life? Or is it really just hindering me and not helping me move forward? I'm not saying don't go snack and have occasional snackings, but where does it cross the line where you're always using this food, this snack, this beverage, this alcoholic beverage, whatever it is, to numb your feelings, to deal with your feelings? When does it cross the line? And really asking yourself those questions and getting really, in tune with yourself, non-judgmental, non-criticism, but loving and accepting yourself. And I go into more detail on the podcast, y'all. As I dig deeper into this topic about emotional eating, I tell you about my story, what I've been through as a nurse, how I dealt with it, and how I was able to overcome. And I give you more tools that you can use. So definitely go check that out. Tune in to the You Glow Nurse podcast, up on all streaming platforms. So make sure you go check that out. And I don't want to leave you hanging. There are some resources available to you. Go ahead, grab my 3 self-care strategies today for a healthier, happier nurse life. You can start these right now. You don't have to wait for a spa or for a vacation. You can do these right now and take back your life, take back your health and healing, and show up as a powerful nurse that you're meant to be, that you are so good at. But first, we have to put ourselves first. Pour from a full cup, sis. And that's all, y'all. It's been a pleasure. I love chatting with you. And I will see you next time for another wellness check in. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.